I'd like to adjourn the
That's not my pen, that's yours.
zoning subcommittee. I know Arthur wants me to bang the gavel. I think he likes the sound of it. I believe we have a quorum here. Is that correct, Madam Clerk? Roll call.
Roll call of the members of the zoning subcommittee. Councilor Morabito.
Here.
Here. Councilor Patch.
Here.
Here. Councilor Rizzo is absent. And Councilor Zambuto.
Here.
Here. And Chairman Rotundo.
Present.
Present.
As well as...
Quorum is present.
I'm always present, right? As well as Council President Jessica Giannino, as well as Councilor Ward 5, John Powers, and Ward 1 Councilor Joanne McKenna, and Ward 2 Councilor Ira Novoselsky. Thank you for all attending. Sir? You already counted, sir. Twice, 3 times. That said, I'd like to go through a little bit of housekeeping for myself at this point. 18219 and 18231 will remain on file, or any committee, shall I say, and won't be discussed tonight. I will like to discuss 18238, which is Sunrise Development LLC, 12 Arbor Lane, Roseland Heights, New York, seeking permission from the Revere City Council to construct and extend a non-conforming structure for the purpose of constructing a 162-room hotel at 58 Revere Beach Boulevard. Proponents?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Emilio Favorito, 7 Dawes Street, Boston 02125. Here representing the proponents of the project, whom, as you've indicated, are seeking to construct a 162-key hotel at 58 Revere Beach Boulevard. The architect for the project made a rather extensive visual presentation at the public hearing 2 weeks ago. She is here, and we are prepared to answer any questions along those lines. A number of issues were raised by various councilors in their comments, and I have sought to address those in anticipation of those concerns being articulated again this evening. 2 documents that were handed out to members of the committee, and I may have some additional copies if non-committee members should want one. I will certainly distribute all that I have. But one of the questions that was raised was the question of financing. I believe it was a chairman, Chairman Rotundo, who raised the issue, and I was able to secure from the East-West Bank the statement that you have before you, indicating that they are working with the project proponent to finance roughly $10 million out of a anticipated up to $20 million project. It may not go that high, but we are looking at essentially 50% financing. Another major issue was the whole question of traffic, demand management, and parking. We commissioned Van Ness to conduct a study, the results of which are before you. And in essence, the study concludes that the parking as configured in the proposal would be sufficient for the purposes of the project.
Thank you. With that said, Madam Clerk, do we have a copy of this?
Yes, I have one.
And can we add that to the file as well? We also have the site plan review, correct? Yes. And we're going to add that to the file. Is there anything else that we need as far as that documentation-wise? Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
I do have a few more copies of the parking study.
Thank you. Councilor Zambuto?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the letter from East West Bank. However, I would have liked the language to say shall provide rather than consider. Consider to me is like maybe. Yeah.
Well,
I'd like a better commitment than consider, you know?
I think we were anticipating that we would be back to the council on the 27th. This meeting was scheduled earlier in the process.
Okay.
We certainly will, if we can attain.
You'll have something a little more concrete. Yeah.
More concrete,
Yeah.
that we will certainly
Great.
provide that.
Great. No, but hey, listen, even consider is good, but a commitment is a little better. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you, Mr. Attorney.
Any other proponents?
Oh, certainly. Oh, sorry.
My name is Robert O'Brien, Mr. Chairman. I'm Director of Economic Development for the City of Revere. I stood in support of this proposal at the public hearing 2 weeks ago. On behalf of the mayor, I stand here in support of it again, and we'll be glad to answer any questions. We specifically have been involved with the proponent in the preparation of the transportation study, as well as in their efforts to document their financing, which, as they have said, they expect to have definitively concluded by the next meeting of this body as a whole. I'll answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Are there any more proponents? Any opponents? Closing that side. Any counselors, starting with my right? Counselor, please. Could you hit the button, please, sir? Thank you.
I'm sorry, there was one additional issue that was raised, and I don't recall which counselor raised it at the public hearing, but it related to the source of steel. And essentially, that's a non-issue, as I've ascertained, because they intend on using concrete
That's a
construction.
market issue, so that's a market and construction issue. I leave that up to the developer.
Okay, thank you.
That said, does Councilor Granasso wish to speak? I don't mean to, you know.
Certainly, I would love to speak, in what I'm, which Councilor Zambudo already, as we speak.
Try it again.
I would certainly like to see, I know they're in anticipation of this new development. I'm certainly keeping an eye on the old development that we have ongoing, and at the pace it's going, it's going to be like 60 years before it's built. So I'm concerned about that, and I leveled that concern back in July, and I offer the same comments. This letter from East West Bank, as alluded to by Councilor Zambudo, shall consider to provide, very interesting to pursue. That's good. But I'm worrying about history, past performance, and past performance dictates to me that there's a very slow progression in the old application that they have before us. So can we get some response for that, Mr. Chairman?
Thank you, Mr. Councilor Granasso. Sir? The question that I have before you is, how fast can you expedite the construction of this hotel and, more importantly, ensure the feasibility of your equity partner?
Essentially, one important distinction I need to make, I did represent the prior developer, but before this council, but I am no longer affiliated with them. There really are two different projects, and certainly we're looking at how that process went and learning lessons from that to the best that we are able to.
When do you suspect that you can possibly break ground the second we give you a permit? Is that a fair question? I mean, I see construction work going on there, site work going on there. So I guess when's the most possible time in which you can get a foundation permit or something like that to answer Councilor Granasso's.
Are we talking about on the second hotel?
You gotta tear the building down first.
Well, as a matter of fact, the building may be down before the end of the week because the proponents for...
Site work that's being done,
Yeah.
correct, I got
Well, for the first hotel, are looking to use our site for construction laydown. And we've negotiated an agreement for them to take down the buildings on our site.
This makes me concerned because dropping the ball on the past, the same attorney represented the past, and now if you drop the ball on this one, we're going to have one ugly site before us. And I'm concerned about that because we're so anxious to develop. I think myself, I made comment to the fact that this proposal will be the catalyst for the new Revere Beach. And if we just stare at that empty lot that looks like it's snail's pace it's being presented, and you were the attorney who represented that, and now you say you're no longer associated with them, what's the safeguard that you're going to be associated with this group after we approve it, and then who do we talk to?
Well, it would be the project principals. I mean, my function with regard to the first team was to secure the special permit.
That's what bothers me. That worries me because it's all built on speculation, and you're asking this body to come forward to vote on this particular proposal, this new proposal, and the old proposal hasn't even been really worked with and dealt with properly. Same architect, so I mean, I see a commingling with some of the people, but I don't see anything happening down there.
So the first hotel, after we secured a special permit, we had to go through a process with DCR and also the beach review board, and that process took about 6 months. And then they had certain recommendations. So DCR can do this, but cannot do that. So there's this process going on. And then because it took over 6 months, during this period, there's a change of the code, construction code, happened at the first of this year, so 2018. So that also took us some time to update all the drawings to be based on the current new code. So that's what's been dragging along. But then the second hotel, we learned from this experience. So actually, Mr. O'Brien already scheduled a meeting with the Beach Review Board. We met with them before we bring this to the City Council, and that helped us to understand what the Beach Review Board would give us. So they actually give us a couple comments, but minor comments, because we already learned from the last experience what the Beach Review Board has been wanting. So we already took that into consideration. That could expedite the whole process in the Beach Review Board. And with DCR also, we finally get agreement of how to work with the bump, like what they wanted to reduce the speed and then also provide a protected area for the drop-off. So now the second hotel, actually, we had a clear direction to go forward, how to present the second one so we could get a quicker approval. So all this, what we had experienced for the first hotel had become a advantage to us so that we could move the second hotel faster. But we don't want to move too fast because we want to make sure all the construction documents, all the different trades are coordinated. So the drawing will take quite several months to get into the good state to be submitted to the city. So the permit process could be smoother than the first hotel as well. So that's just from a design professional's perspective. Thank you so much.
Mr. Counselor, all due respect to your question, I don't think dropping the ball is the proper characterization of what happened. As Ms. Liu has indicated, it was a complex process. This was the first hotel on Revere Beach Boulevard, which is an historic district. It actually involved not just DCR, but the Mass Historic Commission. It was new ground for many people. Nobody dropped the ball at the developers. No one dropped the ball at the city. Indeed, no one dropped the ball at the DCR, but it was much more time-consuming than expected. And as indicated, when it transferred from 2017 to 2018, it required the plans to be redrawn for the current building code. So it took much longer than we expected, but they were into the ground within the week of receiving their foundation permit, and they're underway now and expect to complete construction in probably less than 18 months. They will have the building down as part of this project as part of the first project, as on the site of the second project. So I think you're going to see a lot of progress quickly, and I think DCR, the city, and the developer are all much more prepared to deal with this expeditiously now that most of the major issues have been dealt with.
Well, the only thing, Mr. O'Brien, is that I may mention the fact that, well, if I brought this to the attention of the council because of inquiries from me, of me, and I wanted, and after that, we started to get some results. That's
Yeah,
simply as that.
I agree. It's a
Thank you, Mr.
completely
Chairman.
appropriate
Thank you.
question.
Thank you, Mr.
Councilor
Chairman.
McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I sat with the committee, and I sat with Ms. Lou and Bob O'Brien and the mayor, and I'm in total support of this project. So I think this is going to be the staple of Riviera Beach. Thank you.
Councilor Morbido.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had a question, and I wanted to piggyback on what Councilor Guinasso said. It was in relation to the timeframe of the construction. What is the anticipation of the finish date?
The finish date for this project? It'd be speculating on my part. If the adjacent hotel is 18 months construction, I would only guesstimate that we're probably looking at the similar period of time for construction. They're
About 36 months. So, and obviously they're going to coincide with
18
one
months,
another.
not 36 months.
So I think overall, this project, they're coinciding with one another, and I think it's going to be, the total package is going to be beneficial to our city in the long haul. So I'm in favor of this project.
Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you. Council, I just want to go over the timeframe. I'm for the project. I wanted to let you know that, because I think it's a great thing to happen on the beach, but I just want to realize the full timeframe from the first hotel to the end of the second hotel. So you're saying the first hotel will be 18 months. You don't start the second hotel until you finish the first one.
Not true. No.
Because you're using the second hotel property for construction.
Yes, but as soon as the second hotel is ready to commence construction, they have the ability to displace the Hotel 1 construction crew from utilization
So it really
of the
won't
site.
be 18 months, it'll still be maybe 24 by the time you finish the second hotel?
No, my understanding is that we're looking at 18 months for construction of
For
the
both
first.
hotels?
No, of the first
I'm
hotel.
talking for both hotels.
Well,
Full construction for both hotels, from start to finish. If you're saying 18 and 18 for each one,
well,
you're talking
no.
36 months.
Well, except that I expect that construction on Hotel 2 will commence prior to completion of Hotel 1. If you take 6 months off of that, then maybe you're
So you're
talking
talking 24
18 and 12.
So you're talking 30. You're still talking 2 to 3 years total by the time you finish.
Probably.
Yeah, okay, I just want people to realize what's going to be gone, because it's Councilor McKenna's ward, but my ward is right across the street, and these people are going to be seeing this for approximately 30 months. So I want them to realize it's not a 18-month project, it's longer, because you got 2 hotels going up at the same time, basically.
Right.
So, again.
Well, at some point in time, you will have an overlap, and hopefully it will be for a longer period of time, because the longer the overlap, the shorter the end
I
date.
understand that, but I just, my people on those railroad tracks are going to be watching every move that happens. And they watch, and I hear it. So I just want you to let you know that you'll probably be hearing from me, because when I hear from them, you hear from me. So that's number one. Number two, I have a history of driveway safety. And, I go all over Boston, and I see the number of vehicle access points in either one of the hotels. Okay, the driveways going into the garages, and your supply area or delivery area, and those actually abut the sidewalks.
No, access into the structures are from Ocean Ave, not from Revere Beach Boulevard.
Well, one of them has an access from the boulevard?
No.
Both levels? It was my understanding that the beach level was going to go in from the beach, and the Ocean Ave, that was changed.
No, that's,
So you're going to have a ramp inside.
that's another project. That's the project, the residential project on the boulevard, not the hotels. The hotels, they both have access and egress from Ocean Avenue.
Okay, so you will have driveways going out onto Ocean Ave?
Yes,
And they do cross sidewalks?
yes.
Okay. And I would make this recommendation either through this committee or at the council, full council, that at all vehicle access points going cross driveways, that there be pedestrian beacons to show that when a vehicle is coming out, that beacon goes off for, for ADA process, whether it be a sound, should be a sound and a light beacon, a strobe light, so the pedestrians can see it, so they know there's a vehicle coming out. And I'll make that as a definite recommendation.
If we could add that to the record.
It's certainly within the council's prerogative to add that as a condition of the permit or as a
Considering
condition of the
that,
site.
one of the things that you have down in that area is you have a lot of fog at certain times of the year. Clearly, if you have someone egressing and you can't see them, God forbid you have a fatality, this is an easy fix.
Right.
Perfect idea, Counselor.
And I would also recommend, through Mr. O'Brien and Mr. Stringy, that we reach out to the gate, the other two projects, that we include those in their plans to make sure that the beacons are coming across the sidewalks. And any future projects going across sidewalks, including, if we can, Ocean Avenue, where they're building the hotel and the 300 units.
Through,
If they can do that, I appreciate that.
If I just may, perhaps we can codify some type of ordinance to mandate that for every building that has egress across, sidewalks and so forth.
Yes,
All right?
I agree with that, and, I'm also,
If you want to put a motion in later on.
later on, but, I've also been toying with, dealing with current existing locations that have situations like this, and giving them 1 or 2 years to get it put in, not immediately, given that, because I know it's going to be an expensive thing, but we still have to protect, the people, and even kids going to school.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Councilor Patch?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Actually, the Ward 2 councilor took one of my questions. I just can't, I don't understand why you're even looking for the special permit now if you can't start until after the other one's built. You're saying they're going to move all that equipment. I'm a little suspicious about them renting that lot to keep all their equipment, to build a hotel next to, their hotel, and then you say you're going to start building yours. Where are they going to put all their equipment? I mean,
Once the major components of the structure are up, the amount of equipment is considerably less, and the type of equipment that is utilized is more easily contained on the site under construction.
And another problem I have is basically, like you said, Counselor, that you got the special permit for the first hotel. And I just hearing through the grapevine that, you have any idea of that? Maybe Bob can answer this, I don't know. That there was problem with the management, problem with the finance, they changed management. Is any of this true?
Counselor, there was no financial problems. There was a change in the project manager as of May 1st, I believe it was. And it did, as I indicated at the public hearing, take some time to replace them. The new project manager is now on site, working very closely with the building department, with our department, and seems to be doing a fine job. There was a bit of a hiccup there. It was in part related to the time that it took to get this through DCR and other permitting processes, but it's now been resolved and everything seems to be on track.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, Bob, because I was very in favor of
Yeah.
the hotel, but it just
And
seemed
finances
it-
have never been a consideration.
It's just the time, I hope I'm still around when these things are built. I mean,
I agree.
I don't know. But again, the Ward 1 counselor is for it, and I'm for it myself, but I just wish they'd move a little quicker.
Well, I
both
must say, that
projects.
at the city level, at the departmental level, at the council level, we moved very quickly. It was thereafter, as we moved to the state approval level, that it slowed down considerably. But we've all learned from that process, and I think we're going to do much better this time.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Powers and anybody else on that end thereafter? And then Councilor Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm very concerned also about the time frame, 18 months, 24 months, 30 months. But I'm elated that while we're all concerned about the time frame, we've watched those properties down there for 30 or 40 years with nothing happening. So I think that's a great plus for the city of Revere, and it's going to change and transform that whole area down there, and I'm elated over that. I just have one question, and that's with regard to the amenities in the hotel, with restaurant, lounge, et cetera, et cetera.
The hotel is constructing a restaurant that is geared towards the residents of the hotel, as opposed to the first hotel, which is putting in a restaurant which is geared towards the public. In terms of public amenities, the administration had specifically requested that we construct public event space. About 4,000 square feet of public event space is being provided as part of the project. And
Excuse me, we're talking about the first hotel now, or the second?
The second now.
Okay.
In terms of the second hotel, so that there will be a high-class locale right on the beach with great views in order to have functions which would, presumably be occurring in the evenings and weekends, which would be off-peak hours, fundraisers, weddings, all sorts of events. And we have a specific traffic demand management plan, which is geared towards making certain that there's adequate parking available for those types of events.
That answers my question. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Councilor Zambudo.
I might add, Mr. Counselor, that one of the advantages of having Ms. Ling, the architect, on both is that the amenities for the two hotels complement each other rather than duplicate each other or compete with each other. So the two hotels, from that point of view, in terms of public amenities, do work well together and were designed to.
Thank you.
Councilor Zambudo has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Obviously, I support this project. However, we've talked about lessons learned here, and, the first hotel got off to a rocky start, And I had concerns when they first come up here that it was a relatively new company. And I think my concerns unfortunately came to fruition because we had a shaky start with the project management team and a few glitches along the way, okay? You can't make the state go any faster than they go with permits. Hopefully, we learned lessons. But, the great news is, and I'm a little shaky on this letter, but I'm sure it's going to be cleaned up. This commitment letter is not much of a commitment, but I'm sure it's going to be cleaned up before we vote on a special permit. But listen, I am thrilled, and I'm thrilled that the architect is the same architect for both projects. It truly is a nice blend, and I'm sure she'll complement the amenities in each hotel, and they will not compete. And that's, we couldn't ask for more. That area is in desperate need of a cleanup, and I'll be thrilled when I start seeing something come out of the ground on the first site. I'll be even more thrilled, actually, to see that Castle Mar torn down. That's what I'm really hoping for. And I'll be cheering when that happens, trust me. But again, all things being equal and the lessons learned from the shaky start of the first project, I'm expecting that, if it's 24 months or if it's 30 months, we're going to have two very nice hotels and the kickoff to the beach revitalization. So, I'm thrilled, and I'm certainly going to support and help in any way. And I've got my fingers crossed that we're going to have a great project management team on this project, and we won't be shaky when we're getting the second project off the ground. Thank you.
With that said, I believe there's a member of the audience who would like to speak that didn't have the opportunity. If the council has no issue with that at this point, very well. Mike, you're going to have to press that button, my friend. Thank you.
Michael Zachary, Air Action Emergency Manager. Just to update everybody on the dismantling of the hotel. So for the last, we've been working with JBX and the new manager there for a couple of months. DEP gave us our permit about 10 days ago to remove the asbestos. The asbestos was completed. We worked through the weekend, was completed today. But the only thing holding us up is conservation. So we're looking at unless conservation gives us a special permit, we're ready to take it down within a week. We're working with Deputy Chief Jeevers with the fire department, remove the oil tanks, but it's just conservation. So they're saying 3 to 4 weeks before they can give us approval. As soon as they do, the building department will give us a permit and the building will be on the ground.
Thank you, Councilor
Thank
Novoselsky.
you,
Then after that, we're
Councilor.
going to...
Through you to Mr. Action. What about baiting?
We're going to do that. We'll do that 2 weeks before we take it down. So that way the boxes are there. We already have 4 or 5 boxes that we put out there anyways.
Okay.
We always do if we're on the site, but
Because I usually request 4 weeks,
Yeah.
and we're gonna try and make that a regular thing for the city.
as soon as we get
2
on it,
weeks is not enough to bait for what's going on in that neighborhood.
we have
or any
4 or
neighborhood.
5 boxes there now.
Okay.
We always put them on the site when we're working there to kind of
So,
control the
If I
rodents.
may
but-
interrupt, Mike, if you could appease us and bait a little bit more now, that way in the future we'll be ahead of the game. It'd be greatly
Absolutely.
appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question, please?
No, go ahead.
Mike, are we talking about our Conservation Commission?
Your Conservation Commission.
They're telling us 3 weeks.
They're telling us 3 weeks. Now, in some cities and towns, depending, they'll give us kind of a waiver on that, depending how much
Let's
it's,
see,
you
let's
know.
see if we can't do anything about that.
If
Yeah.
they can give us a waiver, we're ready to take it down. We're going to remove 4 oil tanks this coming week.
Well, you'll
Working
have
with the
my
fire-
support to get a waiver, so I'm sure some of my colleagues will help with that also. Thank you.
That said, I think I'll probably make a call to Nick Melanson. Hopefully, he's watching. I know he's always listening. Of course, he's watching. Council President Janino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Perhaps we could send a letter from the Committee of a Whole to support that waiver so that they can move that project forward, try to expedite that a little bit.
Yep, I think that'll be perfect from the zoning subcommittee. I'll make a personal call. I'm sure Bob will make a personal call. Mike can make a personal call too.
Thank you.
But that said, I'd like to vote this out favorably, subject to the findings and conditions such as the beeper for pedestrian walkway, such as the findings of site plan review, as well as traffic management and any other findings that we had concluded tonight to include the terminology of their bank from something more palatable. Roll call?
Roll call of the members of the zoning subcommittee.
Yes.
Councilor Morabito?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Patch?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Rizzo is absent. Councilor Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes. And Chairman Rotundo?
Yes.
Yes, the 58 Revere Beach Boulevard will be reported out to the full city council on August 27th.
Thank you. What's next is 18239, presented by Robert Ianello and his learned attorney, Corey. How are you, sir? And it's regarding 727 Revere Beach Parkway, seeking permission from the Revere City Council to reconstruct and modify a pre-existing non-conforming structure for the purposes of constructing a 3-story building utilized for self-storage use at 727 Revere Beach Parkway.
Thank you, councilors. Corey Rhodes with D'Ambrosio Brown, LLP, 14 Proctor Avenue in Revere. I represent Bob Ianello, related to this property at 727 Revere Beach Parkway. This, as we explained at the City Council public hearing, is a kind of redesign of the project that we brought back in May of 2017. Not increasing the height of the building from that proposal, not increasing the footprint. We're really just changing the interior of the structure to be 3 floors instead of one very large floor on the bottom and a small floor on the top. So it's not increasing the overall size of the building, just allowing it to be used in a better way. Specifically, all self-storage use. So Mr. Ianello's electrician's business has been moved in Revere. And this is going to be a totally self-storage building. This redesign should be better for the neighborhood, less traffic overall. There are going to be no entrances to this building off of Taft Street. That was important to the neighbors as well. And just want to reiterate, it's not going to be used for residential use. And we're happy to go over any questions you have. But pretty straightforward project for something that was approved last May.
Roll call, unless we have someone that has any comment. Roll call it is. Correct. Oh, there we go. Council McKenna, Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm totally in support of this. We've had neighborhood meetings, and the neighborhood is in support of this too, so I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just through you to the councilor, is there going to be a security fence around the property?
I don't believe we're going to be looking to do a security fence.
Even around the front where the parking area is? No security at all? Cameras? Front, back, side, all the way around?
So there'll be alarms, but we do want to have a kind of inviting front on the highway there. I don't think they would want it to do a large fence or anything like that. It will have an attendant through most of the day, so that's really what they're going to be banking on.
Okay, code access into
Yes.
the building? Okay, thank you very
Councilor
much.
Ganasso.
Like to
And
be
then after that, roll
recorded
call
as
if anybody-
very much in favor. I think it's a great plan.
Thank you.
All right, that said, with all these site plan review findings, any other commentary? Let's roll call.
Roll call on the special permit application for 727 Revere Beach Parkway. Councilor Morabito?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Patch?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Rizzo is absent. Councilor Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes. And Chairman Rotundo?
Yes.
Yes, the special permit will be forwarded to the full city council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Frank, hold on for a second. I just got a question for you. And I will conclude the zoning subcommittee. We're going to keep Arthur Ganasso here extra, though. Thank you.